think the mic sound is okay, but I'll listen to it again when I play back. Okay. Hi, my name is James Leggett, and I'm starting a YouTube channel. And I decided to do this because it seemed like a fun thing. I don't know whether I consider it a money-making thing or not, so I'm not sure. I don't understand all of that. I watched a million videos, and they're all very helpful, informative. Um, it's not like I'm computer illiterate, but it's not like I have a huge learning curve either. I'm certainly not like a Mr. Beast kid who lived on video games for the last 20, 30 years. I was working, taking care of family and life. So I definitely did not have the time to sit in front of a video camera and play games. So that's fine. You know, I had fun doing what I was doing, and I learned a lot of things. But here I am, and I am on my own deciding what to do in this next chapter of being in my 60s, what seniors do or don't do, and in my case, probably more the don't do because I don't want to be old. But I recognize I can look in the mirror and see you're not 20, so I'm not delusional. I get it, but at the same time, um, there are things my cardiologist says yes that I can do and have one hell of a time. And I'm inclined to believe, based on all the tests and labs and treadmill running that I've done this year, I'm actually in pretty good shape to do some of those things, maybe not all. So for this channel, I have some ideas to do some more adventurous things, not just sit here and talk. Sometimes I might walk in nature as I do my nature walks. Sometimes I might go places, take you with me, and to places that will allow me to bring a camera in and do a guided kind of vlog. So that's sort of a fun thing, but all within the framework of these are things that we as seniors who may have, not taken the time when we were younger to do, to go do and discover and experience. And obviously, because I live where I live, I'm going to start here and then I'll expand out. Now, there are some exciting things I've got on the horizon, and I don't know. I think I want to get a few more videos in before I share some of those, so that I'm really confident in how I'm using the camera, and whether it's a handheld or whether it's me sitting here or sitting in another location, kind of play with some of those things. Also, I want to do a sit down outdoor. Probably is my next video. Um, these are things that are important because I feel like the more skilled I get at doing this, the more I can kind of iron out what it is I'm trying to do. And at the same time, YouTube's algorithm will help me find the audience that wants to hear some of the stuff that I'm talking about. Um, there is certainly going to be a bit of an advice based thing because with older age, you have more experience perhaps than say a 20 or 30 something or a 40 something or a 50 something. You've been around the block. I've had health challenges, as I mentioned, cardiology, and I've had epilepsy and had 3 strokes. So, while my mouth kind of goes down on one side. So, you know, admittedly, when I first thought about YouTube, I was like, well, am I self-conscious about that? Because I used to be an actor and a model, never successful, aspiring. But I don't know what people will think when they see this guy with a crooked smile. And then I thought, you know what? Look, people go to movies all the time. They see actors and they go to theater that look all kinds of ways: big, fat, skinny, tall, black, white, green, and yellow. So is that going to be a thing? I don't think it is. As long as I'm telling my story, um, it is what it is. If there was a way that I could fix this without spending an arm and a leg and God knows what else, maybe I would. But the truth is, I doubt seriously that I'm going to change this in the course of my life. So now that I'm doing my YouTube channel, I might as well keep it. I mean, it honestly is who I am. It's what people see. It's what my family sees when I go out in public, or the person that I'm seeing, they see that when they see me. We get to see one another. I don't see a reason to change that much. Now, healthy wise, I do want to go to the gym because I think that would be, I'm going back after, for cardiac rehab. And I think that's a smart thing because for people who haven't exercised in a while after a health challenge, it's a thing. I had been pretty good after my heart attack, but then I had to take some years off to take care of my elderly father and become a 24/7 caregiver. In the beginning, I could go once or twice a week. I had been going 4 or 5, but then that went down to nothing because he had dementia and he would fall out of bed and he needed help. And so my exercising, could I have done it at home? Sure. But let me tell you, if you're a 24/7 caregiver and you're a senior citizen and that person's a senior citizen, unless you're somebody I've never met, you don't have the energy to be doing full workouts and taking care of that person. You're running around doing laundry and cooking and cleaning and medicines and insulin and just all sorts of things. So, be that as it may, you know, I stopped. Not really complaining about it because I did what I needed to be doing at the time, and that was taking care of a person in need. And when my father died, I kind of took a year off trying to go, what am I supposed to be doing now? I don't have a schedule anymore. Um, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing now. I had retired, if you will, from all the things that I'd done in my life, but I didn't really feel a drive or a pull to go back to any of those things. I loved all the people I worked with for the most part and all of my life. I've done everything from retail when I was young to, gosh, politics and working and fundraising primarily for either arts or health-based organizations, and quite frankly, more arts than anything else. I've been a talent manager. Started out with raising money for movies and evolved into that by meeting a prominent casting director. That if I drop the name, you'd know, but I'm not going to do that in this video. Just I'm not about that right now. Not that I'm not about it. Let me tell you, I am about it. I'll drop names, but it's just not relevant to why I'm starting my YouTube channel. So the YouTube channel is to know more. As a senior, you retire or you stop doing this thing that you were doing, caring for another person. It could be your spouse, it could be a parent, it could be a child, it could be whatever. And then you suddenly go, well, now what? Because that person, whether they grow up or grow out or die, they don't need you anymore. So your schedule changes, the things that you make to eat and how you do, uh, where you come and go to changes. You're not going to as many doctors in my case for taking care of father. I guess if you're a parent of, I don't know, 60 something, I doubt most of you have kids that are still in the nest. Most of them probably grown up, moved out. I don't know. I could be wrong. You can tell me that in the comments. But I can tell you, you just reevaluate. And then, death is a pretty freaky thing. And so, I went through a little bit of challenge with that after that first time. And I decided for my own good, because I'm all about finding a solution for something, and I think as a senior, we've had enough experience with finding solutions for our families and our friends and the career we were in or whatever, that hopefully we've got some degree of problem solving locked in some area or another. And so for me, I was like, okay, I'm not feeling good. I'm not feeling a direction. I don't feel sad necessarily because my father was in rough shape when he died. And honestly, his dying was a blessing because now he's in peace. He wasn't suffering anymore. So, it's not like I wish he were here, because no, if he were here, he'd still be suffering. So it's not that. But it was, what do I do? You know, I don't have kids. I didn't say that before. I've never been married. I've had short-term partner type of things. I've always been more of a solo person, so it's not a thing. So I don't have those people gathering. I do have family. I do have friends, and they're very kind and very supportive. But I'm sort of a loner and Leo type typical thing, and so they kind of give me my space, and that's cool. I respect that, and they respect me. We all get along. That's great. It's just I do like my solitude. But I bought exercise equipment. I bought healthy food. I did all those things. I ate the healthy food. I'll be honest about that. But then I also ate some little cheat things. I'm not going to lie. I could. I mean, I've always been skinny. You can tell from my arms. I mean, I'm not going to stand up and, whoops, sorry. I'm not going to stand up and do a walk around. But, sorry if the camera flipped just because I hit the table, because I kind of get excited when I'm talking. Probably need to get another mount because apparently I'm kind of animated and I talk with my hands, and I'm not even Italian. God bless all the Italians. But the thing is, I went to a mental health counselor because I had always advised people. I've been a health counselor, I've been an HIV and STT educator and counselor, been a life coach, I was certified. And, I don't want to do any of those things again, but within those specific parameters, I guess. Giving people advice, fine. Being an advisor, a counselor, anything in officious capacity, no, I don't want to do that. But I decided, physician heal thyself, or counselor heal thyself, life coach. If you recognize something's not right, do something about it. It's like if you feel like you're getting fat, go to the gym. If you feel like you're too skinny, go to the gym. Whatever the situation. You don't like the way you dress, change it. You know, life is short, and the one thing I've learned in all the time that I've had is that even in the toughest of situations, you can change something about whatever it is you're going through. So I decided, yeah, let's do that. So I found a really cool uh, Medicare. Seniors were on Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, all those good things. Found one of those, and he was fabulous. He was great, and I did that for I guess just over a year. Pretty sure that's correct. And I decided between our conversations and my own homework that I wanted to still be of value. I still wanted to contribute to feel some degree that I belonged on the planet still. That my father is gone, my mother's gone, other relatives have gone, friends have gone. At my age, that's a common thing. When you get roughly around your 50s, 60s, all your friends from college and your life, it's like I ran a nonprofit. I mean, I think it talks about that some in the bio of this channel, but and I really don't want to go into too much about that right now. We'll do that in another video. But all but two of the original founders of that are dead. Um, and this year I just decided I don't know, and most of our clients also died, which is sad. It was a health-based thing. So with that, that is a byproduct of helping people with health, life challenges. So going back to the nonprofit wasn't a thing. Uh, Going back to the fundraising wasn't a thing. Certainly didn't want to do anything political or religious. I didn't want to, I had worked in entertainment, like I mentioned, as a talent man. Didn't want to do that again because, you really have to be in the place, like in Hamilton, they say, be in the room where it happens. Well, the room where it happens is LA if you want to do film and TV. The room where it happens is theater if you want to do New York or London. But I live in Georgia. I think I alluded to, but I did not say before. But obviously, when I do upcoming videos and I'm going to, sites around Georgia, it'll become abundantly clear. Be that as may, here in Atlanta, they film a lot of things, but everything's cast out west. So it's not a, you know, small parts are cast here, but the big things are not. So if you want to be a manager, you're going to have to go west because you're not going to make enough money to live here. If you're an agent, maybe so. But so anyway, um, I made the plan to go ahead and start this YouTube channel. I also made the plan and I went back to all my doctors and said, I want to do everything we can so that we can see where I am health wise. Is there anything that needs to happen for me to be in better shape physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically? And I had that same conversation with the mental health counselor, and he said, I think that's a wise idea. So, I've been through mental health counseling, stopped that because we came to a happy place where I felt like, okay, I think we've done what we're going to do here. And it's cool. Again, I was never unhappy. I just needed a little bit of direction. And then cardiology, what do we need to do here so that if, say, down the road, maybe even as a YouTube thing, I want to go skydiving, I want to go zip lining, I want to go river rafting, I want to go bungee jumping, yada, yada, yada. Crazy adventure things that most senior citizens don't do. those are things that excite me. Or things like, taking a trip, solo travel. It's been on my mind to do some of those, and as I said, I'm not going to mention all those now. I'll bring that up in another video because I kind of understand from watching a lot of this YouTube stuff that the first bunch, maybe in the first 100 videos that I'm going to do here for YouTube, I'm going to be honestly um, talking to myself because, unless the algorithm finds me and finds it, more importantly, not find me, finds an audience for me that seems to be a match for what I'm talking about, or keywords, or all the things that I've been learning about in the last few weeks to study this, because um, I didn't want to wait 6 months to do this. I wanted to start it, and then I wanted to figure out what I want to do with it. I mean, we had one. To be clear, this YouTube channel had been around for a while, but it wasn't used for anything. We had set it up to be a kind of a fundraising marketing thing for the nonprofit, and it just never happened. So I switched this over to my own thing because, this nonprofit is phasing and I'm rising, and this new chapter is senior citizen who is going to discover what life has left to offer and go after all the things that maybe are bucket list things. And I'm always open to solutions. I mean, not solutions. Well, yeah, solutions, but suggestions. So if people are like thinking, I wish I could try this, or I wish I could try that, or I wish I could go to see this, or go to see that, or blah, blah, blah. Those would be good ideas because I'm always going to be looking for ideas to come up with new ways to challenge myself. And then at the same time, finding topics to discuss that maybe are of mutual conversation that I could present in a video, and then we could have a conversation maybe in the beginning, in the comments later on. When I learn more, we'll do a live stream and figure out how to have a live kind of one-on-one with that. But until then, it's okay, we can do it this way. I've seen many people have conversations in their comments and be able to answer respectfully and back and forth and ask questions respectfully. I do appreciate, if you are in fact watching this, that you give me kind of a constructive um, and creative critique to what it is that you felt about the video. Do I look like a complete scatterbrained idiot? Do I look like the most goofy person you've ever seen? I don't know. I'm okay with all of those, but I kind of like to see, what resonated, or maybe things that maybe have, touched a bit of curiosity. What would you like to know more about? How can we pursue a topic maybe together as a a content creator and audience side by side, so that we can figure out things together? Because I've learned one thing. We seniors live our life, we do our thing, and we kind of are proud, and then we're kind of alone. And it's like, alone doesn't mean lonely, it just means we're alone. But then it's like, what do you do to do next? And my idea is, well, why not help one another? Why not reach out to other seniors, have a candid and open conversation with other seniors about, what are you doing? Because maybe it might be something that would intrigue me or interest me, or maybe something I'm doing would intrigue you or interest you. And I think that's a wonderful win-win kind of scenario, because I think we're both going to be giving value. I always talk about adding value in these things, but I think that does add value, because I think it helps me help myself while I'm helping others, who in turn may, so it's a give and take. I like that. Anyway, you get it. I'm a little wordy sometimes. Trust me, back in college, all of my English professors would say, you go on and on and on. I used to have more run-on sentences and paragraphs and papers. You wouldn't believe it. It's fine. I don't care. I liked it. I kind of like it still, even in talking. But I get it. For some people, it can be much. Some people are like very direct and to the point, specificity kind of people. I don't know that I have that many people like that in my life. They either tolerate me because I'm a lot, or we just maybe don't get together a whole lot because they're like, he's a lot, but it's fine, you know. The people that I have around me, they're also talkers, or they love to listen. You know, I have two really great best friends, and one of them is a quiet soul, just a quiet soul, one of the kindest, sweetest people in the world. But he is the he will just let me blah 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 blah. I think for hours, and finally, he was say, "Well, um, I hate to do it, but Susan and I got to go to bed." So I'm like, "Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to keep you up or keep you guys up, so I apologize." And then the other one, you know, same. He's more of a talker. So when we get together, it's almost like a competition of who can blah blah the most, and what random tangents the two of us might go down that somehow, in the course of an hour or a number of hours, will wheedle itself back to the initial topic that we started talking about at the beginning. And it can be kind of funny. Um, I mean, it's funny to me, but other people have said, you people are just like wild, you know, and it's funny for us to watch because it's almost sometimes like a sitcom because, you know, we'll sometimes argue and they're like, it looks like you're really arguing, but you're not really arguing. And you know, it is what it is. So, I mean, I have that with my family too. A lot of times it's like, you know, people think you're arguing and I'm not. It's just how we talk to one another, you know. We kind of play bickery kind of thing, you know, sometimes, not always. But so I don't know. This being my first video, I know probably the lighting is more than it should be. I did adjust it, but I'm still learning. Um, Ironically, they said, you know, when I first got this, everybody in videos I saw had ring lights, so I went out and got a ring light. Then I get on YouTube and it says, that's the last choice you should have. So I'm like, oh, okay, fine. So we're going to be starting with the ring light. I'll move it around a little and try to adjust it. And, you know, it does have dimmers on it, so it doesn't have to be as bright. I can turn it to the side or right or left. I've seen some videos on that. I can, you know, adjust these mic things I got. I also have like a mic to sit like I'm in a podcast to sit in front of me and talk on it. Um, you know, so there's going to be some play. This is not the backdrop that I have intended, but I've ordered some things that I was planning on putting on the wall anyway. But gosh darn it, if they don't make the backdrop of my dreams. I mean, you know, some people want to have like this plain, very minimalist, clean background. No, 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 no. I like it to be cluttered and full and vivid and colorful. So that's what it's going to be. And you'll see that when we get there. But until then, we're going to have this plain, kind of boring background. And, you know, like I said, maybe some outside, maybe some other stuff here in this. I live in a tiny home, so there aren't big options. But there are options. So we'll play with it for a while. Um, I don't know what a perfect length of a video is. You know, I see people say keep it short and simple. You know, the uh, kiss thing. You know, keep it short and simple, stupid, or whatever that I don't remember. But then I also know other people say go to at least 10 minutes or more. Other people say go long form and do 10 or 20, 30 minutes. I don't know that I want to do that yet because I'm wanting to learn how to edit, you know, maybe a shorter video, then a little bit longer video, then a little bit longer video, so that I can play with different things. You know, do I want music? Do I want any kind of special captions or effects or things? I don't think so. I think I'd rather, again, keep it short and simple. Um, Within, you know, regarding those things too. I don't think I want to overkill with all kinds of graphics. Not right now. You know, maybe a few years down the road, if that excites me, maybe we'll do that. But I think most of the people I'm going to be talking to, we could go see a sci-fi movie at the theater if we want to, and that's great. I love sci-fi and fantasy and you know all those fun things. I do, but I'm not sure that's what I want to do for my channel. I'd rather more have like a conversation as though you were sitting here with me and we're just chatting. So that's it's more what's in my head. And so it may not look state of the art. It may not feel state of the art. And I can promise you it's not. I'm doing all of the basics that these educators have implied is what you do to begin. And I will learn over time, you know, to refine all these different things, whether it's the sound or the lights or the way I shoot things, whether I raise the camera up, raise it down, whether I shave, whether I don't shave. I mean, sometimes I shave, sometimes I let the whole beard grow with it. I, I, I decide what I want to do. It's not like I don't know. I'm not one of these people that gets up and shaves every day. So sometimes I will let it go until it's a beard, and then I'll shave it, and then we'll go back. Same with my head. I will. We're in the summer now, so I shaved everything so that it would be cooler. But you can see it's beginning to grow back. It does very quickly. Unfortunately, not up here. I've been bald since almost when I got out of college. It was already racing to the back of my head. But it does like the Captain Picard around the sides. So anyway, those are things that I may play with. I mean, I don't want to look like crap on videos. I really don't. And I don't want to curse, so I almost said something else. But I may curse. I'm not going to say I never will. But I'm trying not to because, even though this isn't videos for kids, but it is for adults that are intelligent. So, cursing all the time isn't what I'm going to do. But how I'm going to look, I don't know. We'll see. It probably is going to be yet another thing that's going to refine or evolve and change and grow over the time that I have this channel. And we'll play with it because I, I haven't really made some of those decisions. But one of the things so many people said was instead of sitting there and thinking it, I haven't used these words. Sorry, I just bounced the camera again. Apologize. A lot of these people say I like banging on tables. Sorry. Anyway, a lot of these things that people have said is, you know, uh, don't just keep thinking about how to do it and how to do it and how to do it and, you know, procrast or worry yourself out of it. I think somebody said it, but I would say don't think yourself to death to the point that you don't do anything. So go ahead and start. So here's me going ahead and starting. And if it looks as bad as many people said their initial videos looked, no biggie. I mean, I certainly didn't shave. I certainly probably could have chosen a different shirt. I don't know what colors I'm supposed to wear on camera doing YouTube video. I don't even remember when I was acting or modeling what colors were best. I really, really don't. I think something about black and white, but I think that was more about slimming and making you look fat. I don't know. Don't care. We'll figure that out. Those are other Google searches or YouTube videos I can study. Um, but I've gone on and on. If you're watching this and you're a senior and you're trying to figure out what do I do now? Maybe you've retired and you're used to being at your job. Maybe you have a spouse who has passed away and you're like going, what do I do now? Maybe you're an empty nester, and even though your kids did graduate college years ago, maybe they came back at home and then finally they met the love of their life, got married, and moved on. Whatever the case, if you're a senior who's out there saying, I even know couples where one is happily watching TV and knitting and looking after grandkids or whatever, and the other one is just kind of bored out of the tree, and so they start a YouTube channel. And it's not just always men; it could be women, gay or straight, black or white, green or yellow. Boredom can affect anybody as you get older. So there's that. Last thing I would bring up, and I almost forgot this, and I was almost going to sign off without bringing it up, but I'm going to go ahead. Most of us seniors, unless you were a smart person, I was not, you know, most of us have Social Security. Social Security is not a livable wage, as Bernie Sanders would say, or other people would say. But he's the one I remember the quote from, so that's why I'm giving it to him. But it's not. I heard something on the news. Somebody said that most seniors make between $2,500 and $3,500 a month. I've never met somebody in running a nonprofit helping people with life-challenging illnesses that made that much. I don't make that much. So the idea that as I've been studying some of the seniors that are on YouTube and doing these channels, many of them don't make that much. Now, some do, but many, I'd like to say most, do not make that amount of money. So particularly if they're women, because maybe the husband worked more and they were at home taking care of the kids. That's a thing, you know. So, when that Social Security check comes, sometimes they can get their husbands a portion of that. Sometimes I don't know if that's a state to state or it's federal. Social Security is a federal program. So, but how that works and how much they get, I don't know. Not my business, but I know they don't get enough to live on. I'll tell you that, because rent. I mean, if they don't own their house, rent is a bear. Expenses are a bear. Medical costs, because you hit 50 and just about everything on your body starts falling apart. So medical costs are a real thing when you're 60 and up. Um, are there other choices? You want to go to the grocery and buy holistic and alternative, healthy organic groceries? Sure, you can, but they're expensive as anything. Groceries didn't have to be expensive already in this economy. Organic and all that was expensive to begin with. And so, it's just, that's a challenge. But then on top of that, you've got, the everyday expenses of your utilities or things that you may or may not need in your everyday life, like a cell phone, or the internet. These are things that, I grew up, we didn't have any of those things. So those weren't even something you thought about needing. But now they are essential because just about everybody has them. They can reach out. And if we have a medical emergency, we need something that can get us help real quick. So things like the internet, things like a cell phone are important. But, you know, living on Social Security is not a whole lot. So doing YouTube, even if it takes 6 months to a year, if in 6 months to a year I were making $100 to $200 a month more than I do today on Social Security, shocking as this may seem to some of you, that would be life changing in my world. Because, for my world, because of the amount I make in Social Security, a lot of people don't know this either, any sort of food assistance, I make too much to get food assistance, but too little to actually buy a decent amount of groceries each month. So I have to really be clever in how I do that. And it's a crazy thing because when I was working, and particularly at the height of my career in LA, the idea of needing money for anything was laughable. I had whatever I wanted, wherever I wanted, whenever I wanted it. Now I have to really think about the budget. And when I'm listening to a lot of the seniors, and I've talked to other seniors with the nonprofit, they're having a tough time. So, doing adventurous things like going to the movies or going to a theater or doing some of the fun things I've been talking about, those are kind of prohibitive because if medicine and food are your two priorities, the thing. So I decided, well, that's a problem. But like I said before, I try to find solutions. The solution is make more money. Well, for some people, you can go sit at Walmart and say, "Welcome to Walmart." For other, that's a good thing if you do that. It's a fine thing. I'm not at all disparaging that or throwing shade. But I will say this: it's not for me. I got accustomed to having a whole lot more money and being able to do the things that you can do with that money. And I will tell you this: having a tough time and being wealthy or rich is a hell of a lot better than having a tough time and being poor. So YouTube offers the opportunity that if I knuckle down and combine, my working out at the gym, because I don't have the discipline to do it here, but doing it at the gym, doing my YouTube videos, following the instructions of some of these tutors and stuff that I'm finding online. I don't know they're going to take a class because right now, if I was to take a class, it'd be the choice between eat, medicine, or take a class. Well, I'm not going to sacrifice the medicine or the food. So I'm not going to take a YouTube training class from Think Media or any of the others. I'm sure they are absolutely fantastic. And I've seen a lot of coaches that I really listen to and I take to heart. And I like hearing what they have to say. Sorry, I keep doing that. I'll have to maybe get a different table because I like to. It's all right. That's the other thing. I think it's fun that if I can laugh at myself doing this, and you guys can laugh at me too, I think that's part of the adventure. We're so serious all of our lives, and when you get to be a senior, oh my God, laugh, enjoy life. You earned it. You might as well. So, doing it, yes, I'm doing it for the money, but I'm not delusional. I recognize it may take from what some of these people say. A long time to get monetized. It may take a long time, to get your videos to the point that the algorithm can, push them to various places and get you an audience that is going to follow beyond one video or two videos, but, kind of be part of your regular ongoing audience. So I get that. I'm not, not foolish, but I'm willing to give it a shot, you know? And what else have I got to do? I'm retired, but in the meantime, I can be doing my fitness. I can do my, other creative things that I like doing. I can still go to the movies. I have to save up, you know, popcorn and stuff about kills me, and collectible items that I like to buy from, particularly like the superhero and fantasy things. Oh my gosh, they're an arm and a leg. But you save up, and you know they're coming. You can sometimes do that, sometimes not. But making regular ongoing videos and trying to improve myself and how they look, responding to you guys as you ask questions, I think that'll help me as well as it'll help you. So it's about all I've got today. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off. And, we have a saying in our nonprofit that I used to say a lot. And if you've been around this long watching the video and you're still here with me, I'll tell you, it was called Power to Endure. And we'd say, you have the power to endure, you know. So I, I, I like that. You have the power. You're a senior citizen, but you're not dead. You still have power. So have a good rest of your day. And until I see you again, my name is James Leggett, and I look forward to bringing you in content that will interest you above and beyond maybe just senior content, but what you would be interested in as a senior. So we'll see where it goes. I'm a kid from the 80s, so maybe that's people I'm going to resonate with most. I don't know. I like contemporary music as well as old music, so we'll see. But that's a conversation for another day. We'll do some music and movie stuff in another video or another couple of videos. Who knows? All right. Take care. Bye bye.